Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another day on the countdown to an epic adventure to Antarctica. Today it is 62 days until I leave, and we're going to keep talking about the trip planning process. But before I continue talking about the planning that I am doing for this trip, I want to talk a little bit about what to do when things don't go as planned. And I had a huge, big thing not go as planned even before I left for my trip. Um, so, some common things that can happen on a trip or before you leave on a trip are flight cancellations or delays. Maybe you miss a connection. Perhaps your luggage doesn't show up when you do in the destination. Maybe you injure yourself when you're away or before you leave. Or maybe you miss a bus or a train that's taking you to another location. These are some of the most common things I would say, and I think they've all happened to me in one way, shape, or form in all the traveling that I have done. Um, so, what do you do when those things happen? Well, the first thing is that we're going to react to it. We're probably going to have some emotions like fear, anger, frustration, doubt, sadness, or some combination of those things. And that's totally normal. Like, just let it out. Be pissed off for a little while because yeah, you did a lot of work and probably invested some money to make all of this happen, and now there's been a wrench thrown at it. So just feel whatever you need to feel for a little while, but try not to hang out there for too long. If you want some tips on how not to hang out there for too long, I can totally do that, but that is a whole different video. So once you feel your feelings, try to get yourself to a calm, cool, and collected place emotionally. And, if you can, for your physical environment too, that can help you just feel more calm and at ease as well. Imagine, trying to find a solution in a hustling and bustling airport. Like, sometimes, like, I'm just imagining doing that. And it's like, it's just noisy and busy and isn't serving you in any way to try to do anything at that point. Um, so, getting yourself calm is important because when you are in those energy draining emotions, the fear, the anger, frustration, you literally have no access to your logical mind. You cannot come up with a solution, at least not any good solutions, when you're in that space. So, it's important not only just for your physical, mental well being, but actually to come up with a solution that's going to be helpful for you. So, once you're calm, either remind yourself of what your options are, or if you don't know what your options are, find out. So, I'm in terms of options, I'm thinking like rescheduling, refunds, what kind of insurance coverage do you have for whatever has just happened? Um, and or if it's an injury, like do you need to get to a hospital, or is this something that a little band-aid or some super glue can help? you know, so find out what the options are and then decide what's going to be the best option for you. That is going to be dependent on the situation that you're in and what you want out of your vacation. Um, yeah, so for example, what happened to me again before I've even gone for this trip, um, I went into Air Canada to look at my flight for some reason. I was actually already considering changing it because I decided I needed more time on my trip. But I knew that the ticket that I had bought for my flight down was like, I couldn't really make changes to it, or there was definitely like fees for changes. I mean, you can always change for the right price, right? um, so anyways, so I went in to see what the options were to change my flight, and basically I logged in and I found the flight and it said your flight has been canceled. And of course my initial reaction was, what do you mean it's canceled? Anyway, so I just, in my panic, I kind of kept scrolling and it was rescheduled, and it was very confusing, the mess of text that was on that screen. And I still couldn't make sense out of what was actually going on there because one of the things that said was rescheduled was landing in Buenos Aires in my original time. And then another one had the final landing time like 4 hours after. And I was like, well, if it's the same original flight, that's cool. But if it's 4 hours later, I literally, sorry, just getting a call, turn that off. I literally will miss my next flight, which was not part of the original booking. Again, long story, but I couldn't get that all booked on one ticket. So therefore, they didn't know I had a connecting flight to make. So again, my initial thought is, God, like, I'm not gonna, like, what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna make it to Ushuaia because I'm not gonna get on that last flight and da da da, right? Like, I had those thoughts just going. And then I said, you know what? Shh, like, stop. I don't need to do this. I don't need to panic because I got myself to a calm place fairly quickly because I've been practicing how to do that over time. So I went to the calm place in my mind and said, no, I know I can take care of this. The first thing that came to my mind was that original flight that just had got changed, I purchased insurance for. So whatever happens, I would be getting my money back for that. And it turns out that if I said these changes don't work for me, I would have got a refund anyways, whether or not I had that insurance. So that was a nice bonus to see. And then the second thought I had is, that last leg of that flight, I purposely purchased what they call a flex ticket so I could change whatever flight I was on for no extra cost. So it's like, okay, so I'm covered there. No matter what, I'll still be able to get to Ushuaia. And I also gave myself 3.5 days or something like that. I have to look at the calendar. 3.5 days from my original landing in Ushuaia before that boat to Antarctica left. Because I'm like, there's nothing that's going to stop me from getting on that boat. So I purposely planned for things like this to happen for this exact reason, right? Like, you know, it's one thing if it's for me for a trip to Mexico. I've done that a few times. If my flight gets delayed a day or whatever, no big deal. But for this trip to Antarctica that I've been planning for 4 years, if something happens that I didn't get on that boat, I would be very, very upset. And it's Piper's playtime, so if you hear squeaking, that's her over there. She's also very distracting. Okay, so after I decided that, okay, it was all good, I'd be able to figure out these flights no matter what, and I'd be able to still get on my boat. I was like, oh, okay, that's all that really matters here is I need to get on the boat. So I then ended up calling Air Canada to see what the options are. Like, what was the actual final arrival time? I didn't understand. I needed to get clarification. And turns out that I would have missed that flight, and because they had made such a drastic change in one of the flights, it was over 3 hours, they said I could move that flight to any time in the 30-day window. So either before or after that original day. So I was like, well, that's fantastic because I wanted more time anyway. So I moved it to leave a week earlier than planned. So everything worked out for me. It did help that I didn't panic. It did help that I spoke very kindly to the Air Canada agent that was very patient and willing to look at all the different options for me, all of these things. Right, just from, staying calm, recognizing that there had to be options, and then moving forward with a calm, clear head. Yeah. When you believe things always work out for you, things always work out for you. And for me, they did. So I hope that story gives you some insight and some... Sorry, Piper's just down here like, play with me, play with me, play with me. I hope that was helpful and gave you some insight into what you can do if you ever encounter these things. And if you want to chat or if you have any questions about it, please let me know. I am happy to answer them. All right. See you all tomorrow. Bye.